Hello and welcome to CBR. With 2 more films left in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Phase 5, we're only halfway through the Multiverse Saga. Beginning with Phase 4's Black Widow in 2021, the post-Endgame Marvel movies have struggled to reach the same heights as the earlier phases. Let's take a closer look at where the Multiverse Saga has struggled and the reasons why. First and foremost, the most important thing to note about the Marvel Cinematic Universe's downfall is that it took a long time for it to reach the heights of the duology Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Before the official Marvel Cinematic Universe began, Marvel did not develop their own in-house productions. Licensing their properties to other studios like 20th Century Fox and Universal, Marvel's characters appeared intermittently on screen in films like the X-Men series and Fantastic Four, the latter of which featured a pre-Captain America Chris Evans. It took a long time of trial and error, including an unreleased Fantastic Four film from 1994, for Marvel to begin developing its own ideas of creative control and cross-film cohesion. Beginning in 2008 with Iron Man starring Robert Downey Jr. in the title role, Marvel Studios set forth on a path that would lead to the multi-billion-dollar franchise we have today. While it might seem like the Marvel Cinematic Universe was born on May 2nd of that year, it was in fact several years of hard work that led to Marvel Studios developing its own films and interconnected franchise. Iron Man may be the first film of the official Marvel Cinematic Universe, but since its release, it hasn't been entirely smooth sailing. The first misfire also came out in 2008, The Incredible Hulk, starring Edward Norton as Bruce Banner. While there's nothing overtly terrible about the film, it has largely been ignored within the MCU. Subsequent Hulk appearances were handled by Mark Ruffalo, and the whole Hulk on the Run aspect of the film, especially General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross's pursuit of Hulk and developing a super soldier serum, have never been broached again. Still, there's a possibility that Captain America: Brave New World will reignite the old vendettas with Thunderbolt Ross becoming the President of the United States. Other MCU titles have also come and gone with little impact on the franchise as a whole. Thor's first film, from 2011, appearing a whole 3 years after Iron Man first appeared, bears little resemblance in tone to any of the Asgardians' subsequent appearances. In short, it took a long time for the MCU to hit its stride. The impact of Avengers Endgame was only possible through trial and error, and years leading up to the notion of an interconnected universe. By the time Infinity War and Endgame came out, the groundwork was laid, and audiences were interested in a roster that was more or less guaranteed to have a certain amount of draw. If there's any boon to the pre-Multiverse Saga era, it's the fact that all of its main heroes are Marvel's most popular characters. The Multiverse Saga never really had a chance to start fresh. In fact, that was never the point. The problem is that anything in the post-Endgame MCU is going to be compared to the series' highest high, which was the culmination, at that point, of 11 years worth of material receiving a grand finale. Conversely, the Multiverse Saga is essentially a soft reboot, without the benefit of having the easily recognizable characters that even non-Marvel fans know about. For fans who instantly decried the film's so-called dip in quality after Endgame, they are forgetting just how many duds marked the path to get there. Naturally, starting fresh means having to go through certain processes again, developing an overall tone for phases 4 through 6, while differentiating itself from the Infinity Saga. Where Marvel made crucial missteps was in its overall conception for the multiverse, which allows for far too many possibilities in a universe that has already established notions like the quantum realm and had characters explore the outer expanses of the known universe and even gone to Asgard. With sci-fi, magic, and more now a part of the MCU, there are just too many elements that can be called upon for storytelling that they don't all sit together in an entirely believable way. Then, with the addition of infinite variations, there's just far too much possibility and too many options for exploration. In shows like Loki and movies like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the possibility of calling upon other realities or moving from one to another presents a deflating sense that no one individual is unique, but rather a piece that can be replaced at will, undercutting the importance of character sacrifices. There's also a pervading sense that, despite new realms to access, Marvel continues to approach its new thematic material in the same way as previous phases, following a similar formula. Heroes are introduced. They struggle to find their own identities based on background factors, and then they have to learn how to operate as members of a team. Along with each spate of new superheroes, a villain has to be introduced as well, who always seeks either dominance or destruction, sometimes both, and has their own theory about why they are the most superior being or fully justified in their actions. At some point, it doesn't matter how many head-spinning concepts are introduced, the repetition can make the experience seem too familiar for fans to fully get on board with. With Marvel's forays into television and each series having tie-in lore with what's happening on the big screen, there has been just too much to keep track of. Watching superhero movies should never feel like a chore, and Marvel overstepped its bounds by having too much material in the past few years. A point when several series and several movies could come out in a matter of months, drawing attention to the emphasis on quantity over quality. One good film out of, say, 3 doesn't matter when the other 2 are wholly necessary to understand what will happen in the next good film. In 2025, Captain America, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts come to theaters, both of which could mark a real turning point for Marvel. The most memorable MCU films were those like Captain America, Civil War, in which the emphasis was on interpersonal dynamics, characters' beliefs of heroism, and a bad guy whose sole intention was to pit the hero's flaws against each other. The most important thing for Marvel to remember is that people care about the characters and how they navigate their positions of power and duty. The multiverse never began on even ground with the earlier MCU saga, but there is still time to course-correct the franchise before fans receive the highly anticipated return of Robert Downey Jr. and the Russo brothers. Naysayers might be skeptical about the return of RDJ and the Russo brothers, which, in a sense, signals an attempt to call in the big guns to revive fan interest. With Doctor Doom's surprise turn as the saga's villain, here's a villain who can want something greater than just control or destruction: unity. There is no greater opportunity for Marvel to wrangle its multiverse problem by having a supervillain who wants to organize everything that has led up until now into a cohesive whole. This new universe would contain no more variations, only threads existing separate from another. In a unified universe, consequences are more severe and more accurate to the real world. Doctor Doom might just save the MCU. Let us know what you think of the Multiverse Saga so far. Do you have hopes for how it will all turn out? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to hit subscribe. Until next time, thanks for joining us today at CBR.